You're watching Retirement Talk with Eric Kearney, Southwest Florida's retirement television. He's an author, a radio host, a fiduciary, and Southwest Florida's premier investment advisor. Here is Senior Investment Advisor Eric Kearney.
Welcome to Retirement Talk Television. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, and I'm joined today by Eric Kearney. Eric is President and CEO of Retirement Wealth Advisors. Eric, good morning. It's great to see you again.
Good morning, Cynthia. How are you?
I am doing great. Are you ever not smiling? That's the question.
I like to smile. It's more fun than doing anything than crying. So.
Oh my gosh, you remind me of Elf. Remember when he said that? So I love smiling. Smiling's my favorite. I love the movie Elf. By the way.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Oh, and I'm also really excited about our show today. So it's kind of interesting. It's called the IRS, which we don't want the viewers to get nervous about this, but you've actually turned it into Income Retirement Strategies.
Oh, that's better than the IRS,
yeah, we don't
right?
want to talk about them. It's like, no. So let's talk about that a little bit, Eric.
Yeah.
Income Retirement Strategies, and I'm just going to run with this right out of the gate. Are a lot of people entering the retirement years, the number one fear would be running out of money? Is that still the case?
I think so, Cynthia. So, we always ask people, what are your top three concerns? Running out of money is always the number one.
Okay.
And we get used to a certain lifestyle. This is our lifestyle in Southwest Florida, right?
Right, beautiful.
So one of the questions I say is, and again, I'm pretty laid back about things, but when we get into someone's financial life, this is where we take this uber seriously, because we're actually managing their money for the rest of their life. And so we always ask them, how would you feel if you lost this lifestyle? And they're like, well, that's not what we're interested in. We want to keep this lifestyle, which is understandable. So now all of a sudden we have to create sustainable income in that retirement.
Okay.
So how are we going to give you that paycheck? A lot of times people go through the accumulation stage. Now all of a sudden you may have to go through the decumulation stage. So how can we safely make withdrawals every single year with volatile markets, with geopolitical risk, with rising interest rates? There's so many different things out there. Healthcare, long-term care. And so we have to create a paycheck through all this tumultuous, volatile times.
Yeah.
And so that's where people they want sound financial advice so that they know when they retire, they're actually receiving a paycheck on a monthly basis. This is where income retirement strategies really come in. And there's a lot of people that this is lacking significantly with their current advisor.
Absolutely. Eric, would you equate that to building a house, like having a sound financial flooring, if you will, and then building up from there? And if so, what would the flooring be like with a retirement plan?
So when you create a floor, what you're doing is that you want to make sure that all of your monthly bills are covered without all that market volatility. So a lot of times you have Social Security coming in, you might have royalties, you might have rental income, you might have a pension, whatever that may be. You're creating that floor of income that's going to be sustainable for the rest of your life. So there's some people that say, I don't want to worry about the stock market every time. I want to make sure that my income is secure. So we're actually creating that floor of income to make sure that we're getting that. What we're seeing is that the rate of return is very significant in your retirement to pay attention to. And a lot of times people don't understand what their 3 and their 5 year rate of return is. We have to understand that, because in your early retirement years, if you have a poor rate of return, that will actually erode the principal of that portfolio down the road.
Okay.
And what I miss mostly, and we're going to get back to these this year, I'm hoping, is when we taught the local classes at the colleges, what we were showing people is how your rate of return affects your portfolio, especially in another 20 years. And so we have to keep something, that rate of return going so that it's sustainable for their retirement. And so creating income strategies, it's based off of your withdrawal rate, but you want to make sure that you're covering health care. You want to make sure that you're covering long-term care. And there's a lot of people that say, well, I think Medicare covers most of it, but there's a lot of things that Medicare doesn't cover.
Right.
And so we're showing where the average couple in retirement, it's going to cost them about $285,000 in health care costs. And again, that is not including long-term care costs.
Wow.
And so we have to be prepared for that. And one thing that our financial planning department does is they actually set aside that floor of income plus health care. So we're creating different buckets of money that client can choose from. And again, we have to make sure that they're getting that paycheck no matter what happens in the stock market.
Absolutely. Let me ask you a question, Eric. How does fixed income play a role in retirement?
So fixed income is huge anymore. About 4 years ago, we sent out a video to all of our current clients and we said, look, there's two trains that are coming together, and that's interest rates. It's going to wreak havoc in the fixed income market, and boy, did it ever. So the bottom line is that we're trying to stick with our father's portfolio. That's what a lot of investors are trying to do. Well, you know, my father did great returns in CDs. Well, that was in the 80s. Those days are long gone. We're probably never going to see those again. Now all of a sudden interest rates are so low, they're not really going up, they're wreaking havoc in the fixed income market, so bonds are very difficult. So now all of a sudden we have to find an alternative to that fixed income world. But once you implement sound fixed income strategies, what it's doing is it's actually significantly lowering the volatility in your portfolio or that standard deviation. That's what people are looking for, is to calm down all the risk and the volatility in their portfolio. So if you can find sound fixed income and implement that inside the portfolio, it's actually going to make that portfolio more sustainable over time. And that's really what people are interested in. Absolutely.
And that would be Social Security as well, Eric?
Correct.
Okay,
yep.
So that would go into play as well. What about dividend paying stocks, if you will?
So dividend paying stocks are another very powerful tool that we use. Dividends actually, again, lower that volatility. Why is that? Because they're kicking out income on a regular basis. So even in a flat stock market, even in a down stock market, you're still being paid a dividend, and that will decrease the volatility along all of the portfolio. So remember, what we have to do is anything that is of monetary value, we have to manage on a regular basis. Whether it's your cash, whether it's your fixed income, whether it's your equities, whether it's your fixed indexed annuities, whatever you may have, remember they have to be managed as a whole. And then what we're doing is we're measuring all of the risk, all of the volatility in that entire portfolio. And as you get older, how can we significantly reduce that risk and volatility going forward while providing you sustainable income?
We've heard a lot of times, Eric, that people come into the office and they bring what they have, their statements, if you will, and they think that they're taking a more of a conservative, moderate approach to their investment strategy, but you've been able to uncover that sometimes those clients are actually at a high risk level. Let's talk about that a little bit this morning.
Cynthia, that's a great thing to bring up. Right now, there are people that are safely losing money because they're too conservative. There have been clients in the past where I said, you're too conservative, you will run out of money, your income will stop. We're just not a good fit. There's some people that say, I can't afford to take on any more risk. What they don't understand, Cynthia, is I'm not interested in putting them in a more risky portfolio. I'm not interested in building an aggressive portfolio. What I am interested in is building a relevant portfolio, because people take a look at the 1980s and they take a look at now. They're two different markets. It's just like last year when you had a difficult market with COVID-19. It's 2020. You can't pull out the 2008 playbook and say, well, this is what worked in 2008 for us. We'll just implement that now. It's not going to happen. Two completely different markets. And so people remember that people are at different time frames of their retirement through all these difficult events. So again, we have to take on everything that's going on in the world and go back to that financial plan and say, okay, let's recorrect, let's tweak this. And there's so many people out there that don't have that financial plan that's being written for them, so they're just all over the place. That's not a good fit for us. We want to be mentally organized. We want to be financially organized. When things get tumultuous, we can go back to that plan. I want people to think of that financial plan as a safe bunker for them. Now, all of a sudden, when things get tough outside in the world, I don't really care what's going on in the world. I care about what's going on in your personal financial plan. There's a lot of times, Cynthia, where I'm like, I don't care what happens in the international economy. And although I want the U.S. economy to be strong, when it comes to my financial planning clients, don't worry about that either. We have to worry about our own financial bubble. and that's where people get very political. I tell everybody in my office, look, I'm not here to talk politics. I'm here to manage your money.
Right.
Somebody sooner or later is going to be in the White House.
Yeah.
There's going to be a different administration. I have to manage money based on that administration.
Sure.
So whether I like it or not, whether you like it or not, who cares? I'm here to manage your money, and not to talk politics,
Absolutely.
right? And so we take this seriously, and when people come in, they're like, okay, Eric, I'm ready to make that change. I want to be in a better position. I want that financial bunker that you're offering us, and that's what we're here to do.
Absolutely. Well, Eric, this is the perfect time for us to go ahead and open up the phone lines to the viewers at home this week. Would you agree?
I agree.
Okay, sounds good. To the viewers at home, the number on your screen is 800-779-1942. What Eric is offering you today is a complimentary consultation, a portfolio review, if you will. Let him take a look at what you currently have in place. I've asked Eric who benefits the most from this complimentary consultation. He said if you have around $500,000 or more in investments, it's probably going to benefit you very well. Again, we can only offer 10 complimentary consultations this week. The number to call is 800-779-1942. We have to take a very short commercial break. When we come back, I'm going to have some more questions for Eric about how to plan your perfect retirement. Please stay tuned.
What does your retirement look like? Is it filled with travel, spending time with family, uninterrupted rounds at the golf course? Or are you too worried to even think about your hopes and dreams?
Questions about your retirement are normal. So come into our office, sit down with us, and let us help you find those answers.
Eric and his team can answer your questions with a complimentary review of your retirement and income plan, and it all starts with getting to know you.
We specialize in helping people just like you prepare for the retirement that they've always dreamed of.
They'll do exactly that by going over your current strategy to expose the weaknesses that may exist in your retirement portfolio. Plus, they'll explain potential risks and possible strategies to you in easy-to-understand terms and help get you reacquainted with your portfolio and income strategy.
What I enjoy most about retirement planning is sitting down with you and having real conversations about your retirement dreams and goals.
Once they understand your retirement goals, objectives, and dreams, they'll work to custom build a retirement plan to help ensure that you cannot outlive your income in retirement.
Retirement doesn't have to be scary. Let us help you retire confidently.
Because every dream needs a plan. Call Eric today and schedule your visit. You only retire once, so let's get it right the first time.
Welcome back to Retirement Talk Television. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, and I'm joined today by Eric Kearney. Eric is President and CEO of Retirement Wealth Advisors. Eric, a great first segment of the show that we're having today. And again, going to the commercial break, I love watching the phones light up. I just think that is the most amazing thing because people are at home right now. They're on the couch having a cup of coffee, and they know that they want to come in and speak with you.
Yeah, we're excited. It's always exciting to see how many people are calling in, and then all of a sudden on Monday, the people are calling, we're setting the appointments, and people actually on the phones, they're excited. They're like, hey, what do I need to bring in?
Yeah.
And again, it never gets old. I've been doing this almost 20 years now.
Yeah.
I grew up in this business with my mom. It's exciting to see someone come in with their financial situation. I want to see how I can do better. I want to be able to put them in that better position so that they feel confident about their financial future, because a lot of people just don't.
Right.
They kind of feel like, I don't know if I'm in good position. I think there's a lot of people who are intimidated by this, and they're afraid to know where they are. There's a lot of times where somebody comes in and I'll tell them, look, you're in a great position. We have to tweak a few things. We've got to make some changes, but overall you should be in a good shape. But the financial plan, again, is allowing them that sense of calm.
Of course.
And once they go through that, they're like, I've never had this done. And it's a great feeling for us. I know that Donna does a great job with our financial planning department. And it's been a great year because, like I said, we've been able to change a lot of people's financial lives.
Yes.
And that's the most gratifying part about this. So.
Absolutely. And Eric, if someone is just tuning in for the very first time, I know you just mentioned your mom, but let's talk about where your passion comes from for helping others, because everyone just talks about how genuine you are, how compassionate, how kind-hearted. Let's talk a little bit about you for just a second. I'm going to put you in the hot seat. Where does that come from?
That is the hot seat. So I grew up in upstate New York, and and both my parents were self-employed. Certainly we're never like rich people, that's for sure, but both of my parents were just hard-working middle-class people. I mean, growing up, I remember my mom, we went in and there was a pair of Nike Cortez sneakers, and I just loved those. And what my mom did was she actually broke down how much they cost, how much she makes an hour, and how many hours she actually had to work for them. And that kind of gave me a sense of financial reality that I never knew existed. I just thought that we went in there and bought sneakers. So the thing is that growing up with two self-employed people, I would actually go into my father's print shop on Saturday mornings. The thing that I loved about it was I saw my father's passion. He wanted to make sure that people were happy. He wanted to make sure that people were satisfied. Most importantly, he was always honest with people. And so the thing is that I realize is that you treat people the way that they want to be treated. You give them a great product and they'll keep coming back. My father never was a rich man, but he had integrity, he had honesty, and he had all the things that a man could want. He was a great father. I still love my mother to death. I mean, she's a great person, but she instilled a lot of me about my work ethic. Go out there, do the right thing for people. My mother owned 2 tax works offices. Later in life, she was also a licensed investment advisor. So I've known this industry for quite some time, but the thing is that I always saw where my mom was striving to put someone in a better position, and so I always loved that. I always loved the passion that she had it. My mother today is now 84 years old, and she still tries to help other people with their taxes. And so the thing is that she still wants to learn. And I mean, at 84 years old, she just is an amazing woman. And like I said, she's just been a great influence on me, and I'm so appreciative for the way that I grew up with them.
Absolutely. And Eric, I love that you mentioned that, because your mom with the Nikes, if you will. My mom was the same way when I wanted Jordache jeans. I thought everybody had to have Jordache. Now I'm really dating myself, right? But she looked at me and she said, okay, if you want to have Jordache jeans, you're going to have to get a job. You're going to have to work.
Right.
I'm like, okay. And I got my first job when I was 16, because she taught the importance of working hard for what you purchased. It doesn't just grow on a tree. That's what she used to say. It's not in the backyard. You can't just pick it off of a tree.
Right.
So thank you for sharing that with us. Definitely. Wanted to ask you a little bit, going back again, about accounts sequencing. How does this play into the retirement portfolio, if you will?
So account sequencing, there's a lot of clients who have never heard this, which is very unfortunate, because this can be absolutely detrimental to your long-term success of your retirement. Account sequencing is actually creating discipline about where we're going to withdraw money from. Sadly enough, there's a lot of people that will come in, they'll have 4 different accounts, and they'll tell me, here's our strategy. I'm going to deplete the first one, then I'll go through the second one, then I'll deplete the third one, and hopefully at the end of our retirement, the 4th one, there's enough left over. That's not a strategy. The strategy that you really want to start to implement is this. Number 1, we're going to take from appreciated assets only. We're going to implement account sequencing. We're going to be very careful about where we pull from. The average millionaire has 7 streams of income. That's by no accident. You can do the same thing with your portfolio by creating different income streams. And by doing that, Cynthia, actually what you're doing is, when some accounts don't do so well, you can actually turn off the income in those, go to something that's actually appreciating. And so what we're doing is we're paying attention to the correlation of the portfolio. And what we explain to new clients is, with their previous portfolio, do you have positive correlation or negative correlation? Positive correlation is not good. It's where everything is going up and down at the same time. The problem is that when everything is up, you think to yourself, when you look at your statements, I'm going to Hawaii. Well, guess what? When everything's down in that portfolio, you're going to Lani Kai and eating a bunch of tacos, right? So for people out of state, Lani Kai eating tacos there is pretty good, but we all know not such a great thing, right?
I love it.
So what we want to create is that negative correlation. We want to start creating that negative correlation so that we always have something that's going up in the portfolio. Again, we're creating discipline, but we're also implementing a strategy here. So this is really important, to have account sequencing in your portfolio and also addressing that.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Eric. I think this is the perfect time for us to go ahead and reopen up the phone lines
Sounds
this
good,
week.
Cynthia.
To the viewers at home, the phone number on your screen is 800-779-1942. We started the show today with 10 complimentary consultations. We now have only 4 spots remaining. So again, you don't want to miss this opportunity. If you have at least $500,000 saved for retirement, this probably will be the most beneficial for you. However, Eric would like to talk to you even if you have less than that. Again, the number to call is 800-779-1942. We have to take a very short commercial break, but when we come back, we're going to have more questions and answers about how to plan your perfect retirement. Please stay tuned.
What does your retirement look like? Is it filled with travel, spending time with family, uninterrupted rounds at the golf course? Or are you too worried to even think about your hopes and dreams?
Questions about your retirement are normal. So come into our office, sit down with us, and let us help you find those answers.
Eric and his team can answer your questions with a complimentary review of your retirement and income plan, and it all starts with getting to know you.
We specialize in helping people just like you prepare for the retirement that they've always dreamed of.
They'll do exactly that by going over your current strategy to expose the weaknesses that may exist in your retirement portfolio. Plus, they'll explain potential risks and possible strategies to you in easy-to-understand terms and help get you reacquainted with your portfolio and income strategy.
What I enjoy most about retirement planning is sitting down with you and having real conversations about your retirement dreams and goals.
Once they understand your retirement goals, objectives, and dreams, they'll work to custom build a retirement plan to help ensure that you cannot outlive your income in retirement.
Retirement doesn't have to be scary. Let us help you retire confidently.
Because every dream needs a plan. Call Eric today and schedule your visit. You only retire once, so let's get it right the first time.
Welcome back to Retirement Talk Television. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, and I'm joined today by Eric Kearney, and Eric is the president and CEO of Retirement Wealth Advisors. Eric, a great show that we're having, and obviously we can tell by so much excitement with the consultations being booked. We only have 4 spots remaining. It's crazy how fast they go. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about a tax advantage portfolio. In case someone is in the viewing audience, they have some questions about that. How does that fall into line as well?
So this is the disappointing part about people working with an advisor who has never had proactive service. There's a lot of people who need a more tax advantage portfolio, yet don't have that. So what happens is 55% of affluent investors are by far more concerned about reducing their taxes than actual higher rates of return, but yet they're never offered any kind of solution. And so what we're showing people is, why weren't you offered a Roth IRA before? Why weren't you offered a Roth conversion? Why didn't you ever look to roll over some of that 401k money into something that's more tax friendly? So right now, everyone's worried about capital gains. That might go up significantly. So we have to be proactive and combat that. There's a lot of business owners who knew that they were going to sell their businesses in another 10 years, yet no CPA or their current advisor ever said, look, you're headed towards a taxable position. So tax planning is uber critical, and it's another portion of that financial plan that we actually do, and there's so many people that don't have it done. And so what we want to do is, every time that you reduce your taxable income, you're actually increasing your income. So by default, when it comes to the IRS or income retirement strategies, you want to keep more. It's not how much you have, it's how much you get to keep. And whatever you don't have to give to the IRS is now yours. And so we have to provide a benefit to that client by introducing tax planning and saying, look, you can have this too. And so a lot of people have a lot of strategies available to them, but they've never been offered them.
Okay, and that's very important when you think about it, Eric. Obviously, you want to keep as much of the money as you've worked hard for as you can without giving it all to Uncle Sam or Aunt Samantha, right?
That's right, that's right.
So let's talk a little bit about withdrawing income from appreciated assets only. How does that also play into the field?
So this is really critical. So there was a woman that came to me in one of my classes a few years ago, and I was standing out in the hallway getting ready. And she says, hi, Eric, I'm here to take your class. And I said, oh, great, well, welcome. She said, I don't really know why I'm here. My advisor always tells me that I'm doing great. So I was like, well, that's good. I said, but how do you know? And so after a little short talk, she went into the class, took my class, and then all of a sudden a week later I got a phone call from her. And she said, Eric, do you remember the story that we had or the conversation that we had out in the hallway? And I said, yeah, you had mentioned your advisor. She goes, I can't stop thinking about what you said to me. How do I know if I'm in a good position? Because my advisor just tells me so. Long story short, Cynthia, she ends up coming into my office and ended up being she was pulling out a significant amount of money from a horrible product that she was in. And I said, you basically had two buckets of money. This one had a absolutely poor rate of return, but yet she was pulling all of her income from it. You could see that the account was actually depleting. Wow. And so this one was growing okay. And I said, you know what you really need to do? And she says, yeah, Eric, I need help.
Right.
So I said, well, that's the first thing.
Yeah.
But what we ended up doing was, and again, this is so substantial, we turned off the one that was high fees, poor performance, not being managed at all. And what we did was we went over to this one, we removed all the toxic holdings from this one, cleaned it up. Now, all of a sudden, this one actually had a significantly better rate of return. And what we did was we then made some changes to this one. Well, what ends up happening was now the two are actually sustainable. Now, instead of withdrawing from depreciated assets and basically depleting this account, and again, hoping that this one will last, now she has two very healthy portfolios.
Wow.
And from time to time, we choose a little bit of income from this one. We choose a little bit of income from this one. So when you're withdrawing assets, you always want to pull from appreciated assets and taking a look at your sequence of returns and creating that sustainable income for you.
So, Eric, I have to ask you, how many friends did she pass your name along to?
Quite a few. Our Punta Gorda office is always busy, that's for sure.
Absolutely, because you were able to take a situation where she thought she was doing okay, but just by coming in and talking with you, she realized, you know what, I'm not really okay. I'm in a situation that could be potentially a failure.
Right, and you know, Cynthia, I think the biggest thing is education.
Yeah.
We educated her, we showed her why that was different, and that made a huge difference in that.
You have such a passion for educating your clients. We've talked about this in the past, how you want to be able to be working hard for them so they don't have to think about it. They can go to bed, they can sleep peacefully at night knowing that you're watching over everything for them.
Absolutely. They want that financial peace of mind. And again, through the financial plan, the income plan, through the wealth management side, through the concierge service, they're getting all of that. They're finally getting what they want.
And what it comes down to, Eric, is the importance of having a true, comprehensive, written retirement plan, especially if you're going into the retirement years. You've worked so hard to create that nest egg. You want to make sure it's going to last throughout all of your life.
Absolutely.
So thank you for another great show.
Thank you, Cynthia.
To the viewers at home, thank you for spending time with us again this week. We enjoy having you with us. Please remember the phone number to call is 800-779-1942. Get one chance to retire. Make sure you do it right the first time. Eric can make sure that you're doing just that. Be safe, be happy, be blessed. We will see you soon.
Hey, Southwest Florida, Eric here. Thanks so much for watching. If you're interested in a second opinion or a fully blown written financial plan, let's get you reacquainted with your portfolio, and again, without any obligation. If you're interested in your very own income plan, let's get you reacquainted with that as well. Give us a call today. Strive for excellence. Your wealth deserves it.